One of the most common misquotations from the Bible has led to the shorthand phrase we know today as "money is the root of all evil." And while I'm no preacher, or even a Christian, I find it incredibly important that we don't take this phrase out of its original context, as it changes its definition entirely. The Bible says in Timothy, "The love of money is the root of all evil." Psychologists who study the effects of wealth on the human brain have found that money can be a powerful influence on our thoughts and our actions. But how deep does this rabbit hole go? How much does wealth truly change a person? Well, for one, several studies point to the idea that wealth and empathy mix like oil and water. One particular study, published in the journal Psychological Science, found that people of lower economic status could read other people's facial expressions better than people with wealth. The prevailing theory here being that lower-class environments are riddled with vulnerabilities and social threats. Depending on others and being perceptive of their emotions are excellent ways to navigate these obstacles, and so one learns to do these things rather quickly. Another study done by a team at UC Berkeley found that even fake money could drastically influence a person's behavior. Observing two students playing the board game Monopoly against each other, researchers found that when the game was rigged so one player was given a great deal more money than the other, the wealthier player expressed initial discomfort, but then went on to play extremely aggressively, using their advantage to the fullest and even taunting the player with less money. If accurate, the conclusions we can draw from these studies reveal that the more you or anyone else stands to profit from any given situation, the more important it is to take a moment to step back and consider acting with empathy and compassion, rather than out of sheer self-interest. There's also plenty of evidence to suggest that wealth can seriously cloud a person's moral judgment and even imbue a sense of moral entitlement. Another study from UC Berkeley found that in San Francisco, a city where pedestrians have the right of way by law on any crosswalk, drivers of luxury cars were found to be 4 times less likely than less expensive vehicles to stop and allow pedestrians to cross. They were also more likely to cut off other drivers. Another study from Harvard and the University of Utah suggested that even thinking about money could then lead to unethical behavior. When a group of study participants were first exposed to money-related words, they were then more likely to lie or behave immorally. It's never just money, though. It's the influence, the status, the overwhelming contrast between one's reality and one's fantasy. This powerful idea has a stronger pull on our emotions and our decisions than we tend to realize. While being wealthy itself doesn't directly lead to substance abuse, wealth does seem to be linked to a higher susceptibility to addiction in general. Affluent children have been shown to be more vulnerable to substance abuse, possibly due to distant, hardworking parents and a high level of pressure to succeed. The pursuit of money itself can even grow into an addiction of sorts. According to Dr. Tian Dayton, a compulsive need to acquire money is what's called a process addiction, which is different from a chemical addiction. Process addictions to things like gambling or sex form when one becomes addicted to the change in brain chemistry that occurs during a certain activity. And though they don't have the same physiological effects on the body as a chemical addiction, process addictions can still lead to negative consequences that seriously harm an individual's well-being. Money is such a vile, messy thing sometimes. I mean, you've seen it. Somewhere you've seen it as people line up at their local gas station to buy a Powerball ticket when the jackpot hits $1 billion. as we drink or eat or shop our wallets dry in an effort to fill the bottomless void left in us by the very corporations that constantly lure us in through advertisements we can't ignore. Ignorant billionaires throwing around money and people's lives like they're nothing but pawns in their grand scheme for the world. The snobby, self-righteous nature of those born into money as if their own blood, sweat, and tears are the sole reason for their success. Money changes us. It shifts our values and our ideals. And though it may appear as if it reveals our true and vicious nature, I think instead that it simply misguides us and can lead us astray. We forget what we truly care about, what we truly believe in, or if we're born into wealth, we never truly make those discoveries about ourselves. While wealth to some degree seems tied to happiness because of one's increased sense of control over life, studies have repeatedly shown that after a certain level of income that takes care of basic needs and relieves daily stress, wealth makes little to no difference to the overall happiness of an individual. In fact, in that endless striving for wealth, one may be more likely, not less, to stumble across unhappiness and dissatisfaction. Money can't buy happiness. Money can't buy love. And it seems the endless pursuit of money is no less turbulent or difficult than that of love or happiness. All this is to say that while money may not be the root of all evil, it certainly has the potential to warp and corrupt even the most decent of people. But there is no shame in profit itself. No shame in making a living or building your dream business from the ground up. There's also no shame in borrowing money from other people to sort your life out or to start your business, even if those opportunities only present themselves to you out of privilege or inheritance. What matters is the choices you make once you're dealing with a significant amount of wealth. Will you stop at nothing to achieve your goals, to serve yourself, even if it means destroying the lives and careers of hundreds of people who believed in you, like Elizabeth Holmes did with Theranos? Or will you make a conscious effort to transform the advantages you were given into a benefit for those who weren't so lucky? In this world where there's only a few people that hold the influence, power, and status that comes with enormous wealth, those really are the only two options. And yes, you are lucky, no matter how hard you've worked for what you have, because with a single roll of the dice, you could have been someone else entirely. Any number of the people who die at a young age of preventable diseases or on the front lines of a bloody battlefield for a cause they hardly believe in. With great wealth comes great power. And with great power comes a shit ton of responsibility.
The arrest began early this morning at a luxury hotel in Zurich, Switzerland, where officials of soccer's governing body were gathering for their yearly meeting.
The explosion and fire aboard the Deepwater Horizon and the resulting oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico never should have happened.
You see how greedy this move looks.
Yeah, I could see how it looks greedy, but I think there's a lot of altruistic properties to it.
A defeat device, which manipulated diesel emissions data to make vehicles appear more environmentally friendly to U.S. regulators.
You are living a life of luxury. You've got great homes, you've got great planes, you drive in limos and...
The technology she said could detect hundreds of diseases from just a finger prick of blood she knew was flawed. She continued to lie to investors about it.
I'm a little pissed off at you, and I just wanted to poke you on this. Every time I go to Amazon, so one of the coolest things, Walt didn't ask you about this, one of the coolest things about Kindle is when it arrives, it knows who you are.
Right.
And it knows what you're buying. But when I go to Amazon now, it keeps promoting the Kindle to me, and I already own one, and you guys know that.
But you've only bought one.
So